St. Louis Blues were in last place on January 1st, not just in the division, but the entire National Hockey League. But there was magic in the air to follow. A coaching change which promoted Craig Berube to head coach. A certain young lady was inspiring the players to keep fighting and believing. Charles Glenn was retiring as the national anthem singer at Enterprise Center, as perhaps the best-known national anthem singer in all of professional sports. We got a catchy tune from the 1980s that turned into a great victory song. We can go on and on. After earning a Western Conference playoff spot, their style of hockey was just made for the playoffs. It was steamrolled by the Winnipeg Jets, the Dallas Stars, the San Jose Sharks, and finally, the Boston Bruins in 7 exciting games. Please join us in honoring Team President Chris Zimmerman and perhaps the most beloved Blue Note of all time, Bobby Plager. They will receive the second best award in their hockey careers, the Robert Hyland Hummel Award for Meritorious Service to Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2018-2019 Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues.
Take that.
1 year ago this week, so we all focus on January 3rd. 1 year ago this week, the Blues chairman, Tom Stillman, came into the 101 ESPN studios and did the Bernie Miklasz show and talked about how a few years earlier, David Backes had scored a goal on President's Day, and that spurred the Blues to make the playoffs. And we played that clip in the afternoon. And Brad Thompson, who has a tendency to be a smart aleck once in a while, when Mr. Stillman said, "I think we can still make the playoffs," Brad said, "Oh, hell no." And lo and behold, the Blues took off, and February was unbelievable. Right after the writers' dinner last year, they go on to win 11 in a row and obviously made the playoffs and won the Stanley Cup. A year ago right now, Chris Zimmerman, what were you thinking about your hockey team?
Well, we certainly recognized that we had a pretty challenging situation. You get to early January, and you're assessing where you are, and you're preparing for the trade deadline and thinking about all the things that might have to happen. And suddenly, magic in a bottle all came together.
Nobody knows hockey players and can evaluate hockey players better than Bobby Plager. He knows hockey players and winning hockey players. Did you foresee what happening?
Well, not at the time. I think we were all disappointed, too, because we had made some deals during the summer. We had improved our hockey team quite a bit. We expected a lot more, and the way it was going, there was a lot of disappointment. And I think what Chris said there, too, at that time of the year, trading deadline was coming, and I know there were some meetings going on, too, but we were disappointed. We knew we had a better team that was out there the way they were playing, but it was magic what happened. And one night in Philadelphia, my favorite city, which with a new goalie coming in, which I was very disappointed when I heard it, was a few of the boys found a nice little place in Philadelphia. They went out there for a few drinks. The place in Philadelphia, they'd won a trophy or something, and they started playing this song, Gloria. So our guys did a little celebration. Some of them broke curfew. But the next day, they went in to play the game in Philadelphia with our new goaltender, and you win a game 1-0. And this goalie took off, and all of a sudden our hockey team, the way the goalie was playing, and they started playing, and the 11-game winning streak, they became believers. They became a team. And as a team, you play together. That's what they did, and we saw the results. But I think it was that night in Philadelphia and Gloria.
And in addition to Gloria, maybe the quintessential St. Louis story, Kelly Chase has a friend of a friend that has a daughter that has a debilitating disease with her immune system. And so that friend gets in touch with Chaser And Chaser goes and visits Layla Anderson. And then, Chris, the way I understand it, Chaser tells Alexander Steen, who goes and visits, and she kind of becomes a rallying force for the team as well.
Yeah, well, she is a exceptional young girl. I have been impressed on so many levels about the way she's carried herself. I was actually in Colorado at the game yesterday, and down the concourse walks Layla and her grandfather. She couldn't be more committed to the team. And when you think about all the things that had to come together, I think this is a story where she inspired our team and Parayko and Steen and these guys. As much as we maybe gave to her at times as she was fighting her illness, she gave it back in a huge way.
She sure did. And Bobby, I said on the air the day after the Blues won the Cup, the people that I'm happiest for, the people that have been around the club forever, and you, for me, were at the top of the list. But you, as you told me earlier tonight, it's not about me. Who are you happiest for?
Well, it's 52 years I've been here waiting for it, and I've told everybody, you know, I want the cup. I want to lift the cup I want, and it was I. And, you know, when we won the cup and we got in the parade, all of a sudden you look at people who have been there for 40 years, 30 years, season ticket holders, and to win the cup and bring it around and see these people, tears in their eyes. I mean, I wanted it, but all of a sudden it wasn't me anymore. It was for the fans and for those people that were with us for 30, 40 years. That's who this was for, this cup. I mean, I've enjoyed it, but it was for the fans.
Doesn't get any better. Obviously, the Cardinals have treated us to 11 World Championships, and it's fantastic to have two such spectacular organizations in our town. Bob Plager, Chris Zimmerman, congratulations, and thanks so much, Bob.
Yeah, one more thing, Mark. Would you, up here where you spoke about Bill DeWitt and the St. Louis Cardinals, the organization, how great it is and how great Bill is with the organization, I'd like to say that the St. Louis Blues, we are one of the greatest organizations. We have one of the greatest owners in Tom Stillman. And the only difference is you're not employed anymore, and I am. And yes, a raise would be nice.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris.